Viewer contributions make local programming possible on WNIN. Become a member of WNIN with your contribution so we can continue to make this programming available. Visit WNIN.org and click on the donate button.
Spring is in full swing, and that means Earth Day is coming up soon. This is often a time to celebrate nature and efforts made to improve our environment. This week, we'll learn about city plans to make our climate better and upcoming Earth Day events. That's coming up next on WNIN Newsmakers. Welcome to WNIN Newsmakers. I'm April Nading. To talk about the new Climate Action Plan for Evansville, we have Lauren Norvell, the Climate Action Director of the Evansville Climate Collaborative. We had a lot of climates going on in there. Thank you so much. Welcome back to Newsmakers. Thank you for coming. So tell me about what the Evansville Climate Collaborative is and why was a Climate Action Plan created?
Well, it's a city agency, and it is basically the city's sustainability office. We are charged with trying to improve air quality and as well as improve sustainability. So we generated the Climate Action Plan, and the city's second ever, and we just got it passed by City Council. So that's the first time that's happened. And the Climate Action Plan is basically a plan to help us mitigate and adapt to climate impacts that we're seeing, such as severe storms and extreme temperatures, flooding, things like that. And it also helps us with promoting sustainability of our resources. So it helps us do things like plan for using more renewable energy, or using less energy, saving on energy costs, increasing our energy security. It also does things like help us increase our mobility through transportation projects, helps us reduce our waste that we produce and what to do with it after we produce it, things like that.
So when you say we, are you talking about businesses in Evansville, or and how far-reaching is it? I mean, is it just in Vanderburgh County? Tell me about that.
The Climate Action Plan was developed by the city, but it certainly can be applied by anyone. There are 5 different sectors in the plan: energy, transportation, waste, land, and resiliency. And there are strategies and up to, I think there's 50 actions in the plan. These are actions the city wants to take on behalf of the whole community. And we do work outward with county and regional partners. And those partners might be businesses or not-for-profits or just passionate citizens. But the actions in the plan, they can be applied by the city, but they can also be applicable and hopefully will be adopted by many other entities, whether it's school districts or libraries or county government or businesses or not-for-profits or residents.
So let's say with schools, for example, how do you get the word out to them to help get them on board with something like this?
Well, the reason why we named our agency the Climate Collaborative is because there's nothing in that plan the city can do on its own as far as without partners. Those partners might be other city agencies, county agencies, but it also might be, like our emergency management agency, or it might be Zoo or Wesselman Woods, or it might be businesses around town. So we will collaborate to get these projects done because it's going to take all of us to do them.
So is this something that's common, this kind of plan, is it common in other cities?
Yes. Yes, the Climate Action Plan is, they're becoming increasingly common and integral to city comprehensive planning. Most of the cities in Indiana of a certain size and population have a Climate Action Plan. They don't all call them Climate Action Plans. Some of them are called Thrive or sustainability plan, but most cities do. And even the state of Indiana has its first ever priority climate action plan.
So how was it determined that this was even something that was necessary, that we needed something like that?
Well, what determines it's necessary as far as why it's needed? Is that what you're asking? Well, we're seeing a ton of climate impacts. The world scientists have come together that this is a concern, that climate impacts are happening, and we see that even here within our state and within our city and county, the climate impacts, things that have gotten more, for example, storms are more intense and frequent. They come in with a big bang, and we've definitely seen a rise on things like the intensity of tornadoes and the frequency of tornadoes in Vanderburgh County. We just went through a week with, I think, 4 severe weather days, all capable of producing tornadoes, so that's just an example. We've seen intense precipitation events, whether it be in the winter, summer, fall, or whatever. And in fact, a lot of our precipitation comes in late winter when we don't really need it yet. And so the ground gets really saturated, and then we have a lot of flooding. That water isn't really put to good use like it would be in the growing season. We see things like wildfire smoke. I remember 2 summers ago, we saw wildfire smoke from Canada.
Right.
So, yeah, so climate impacts don't just happen on the coast or in California. They happen everywhere, including here in Indiana. And so we're just trying to prepare our city to handle those. We need to be more resilient, which means we need to be better able to withstand those adversities, cope and recover, and help our residents, help our infrastructure, help our economy be more resilient to the climate impacts that we're already seeing.
So what would be a way that they can do that? I mean, so it's an act of nature. I mean, what is something that helps to prepare or deal with that?
There's a wealth of things that we can do to be more resilient, to have a community that's not only more resilient, but healthier, safer, more stable. And it's not all about weather. We can prepare our buildings to have safe rooms or improve our building codes to better withstand tornado or severe storms.
Right.
We can work with our utility to make sure that our grid is up to par and that we have backups for when the grid is down, especially on public buildings that might be able to provide safe shelter to residents during not only storms and tornadoes and ice storms, but also when the grid is overloaded with cooling demand we might see in the hot summer months. So we can do things to prepare and help everything withstand the weather, but we can also do things to keep climate impacts from getting worse, to do our part to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, reduce our air pollution, clean up our air, and that involves a lot of the time using less energy, whether it be for heating a building or whether it be driving across town.
So, sometimes on social media, I see memes where it talks about how back in my day, we just got under the desk and put our hands over our head. There wasn't all this, panicking about storms and tornadoes and stuff. But from what you're saying, they actually are worse. There is a reason to be a little more, not panicky, but aware.
Yeah, we're definitely having to be more cautious now because we're seeing the intensity and the frequency and intensity of storms increase. And so, climate change is not all about warming. It's about disruption and instability of the atmosphere. So you tend to get more surprises in the fierceness of storms. And so we do have to be a little more cautious. Now, I'm not a meteorologist, and I don't keep the weather data, but I myself have really felt the change in the last 5 years. Purdue has a climate impact assessment that they did in 2018 for the entire state. And that report predicts more severe weather in intensity and frequency, and then, of course, all the other things I mentioned, like more extreme heat days. Those are probably our 2 biggest hazards and risks here in Evansville associated with climate impacts.
I know before we started, you were telling me how you had recently changed the name of why was there a change in the name, and how do you, I guess because of what's going on. But
Yeah, so So it's complicated, but our agency used to be called the Evansville Environmental Protection Agency, and it was named that back in 1973 when, and for many decades, the agency worked with our state and federal entities to enforce state and federal air quality standards, and that's what they did. But it was misleading, one, because it's not the U.S. EPA or Environmental Protection Agency. Everyone thought we were a chapter or an office of that. And we also don't fix everything in the environment. We focus on air quality.
Right.
So there were some changes back in 2017 with basically the office went quiet. There were changes at the state level. We didn't need to do what we were doing as much anymore with air quality because the state really champions that. And so we basically just repurposed the agency to focus more on proactive measures that we could do to improve air quality and in turn provide a whole lot of benefits to both the community and the environment. So we decided to be more proactive about sustainability and climate action in general.
Are there positives, about our air quality? Has it improved over the years, or, how it...
Oh, yes. Air quality has definitely improved over the years. The U.S. EPA's standards have improved over the years, and the latest improvement was to improve the standard for fine particulate matter and so that has benefited our area, but yet we haven't been able to attain that standard.
Right.
So we're
working on it.
We're working on it, yeah. We just have a lot of power plants around us, a pretty high concentration for a single city to be surrounded by power plants, and they still use fossil fuels, so that contributes a lot to our poor air quality.
So how can people stay up to date or keep up with what's going on with the Climate Collaborative website? Or
Yeah, we have a new website, evansvilleclimate.com, or they can go to the city-county website and find us there as well if they look under our department, the Evansville Climate Collaborative. And so they can go to the website and find our climate action plan, which is brand new, hot off the presses.
Okay.
And they can find a whole kitty of resources there, helping people find everything from tax incentives for putting solar on your home to energy saver program. That's a rebate program the state is getting ready to launch for energy upgrades. You can find technical studies like the Climate Action Plan on the website as well, and you can join our newsletter listserv there, and you can also find us on Facebook.
All right. Well, thank you. Lots of good information.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Many of us have taken a trip to the zoo here in Evansville, maybe more than once. And to share more about an upcoming event they have is Eric Beck, Executive Director of the Mesker Park Zoo in Botanical Gardens. Eric, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
So tell me about what you guys have planned to celebrate Earth Day.
So yeah, our Earth Day celebration is actually a nationwide event that is hosted by zoos and aquariums all over the country. We call it Party for the Planet. Oh. So we have lots of activities and games and food trucks planned for the day. But it's an event that really focuses on conservation, things that you can do in your own daily life and in your own home to help the environment, help save resources, help control waste, all those things. So we have recycling, we have Native Plant Society, we have the Arbor, National Arbor people. We also have the International Crane Foundation that's coming in, so they'll be talking about cranes and how they impact us. So lots of different activities that focus on how you can do things in your own life.
Why are cranes so important?
Cranes are we're in a migratory route, so a lot of people may not realize it, but we get a huge amount of not only sandhill cranes, but the whooping crane that was almost extinct and has really bounced back. So whooping crane sightings are pretty common in our tri-state area, and the International Crane Foundation works with that species as well as other crane species around the globe.
So so you're saying they're migratory, so they're here for how long, usually?
Months. They go from upper Wisconsin in the summers down to Louisiana and Texas in the winter.
And they just stop off here for...
They stop off here, and some of them take longer when they stop off.
I guess that's a question that I know is kind of off topic, but what are they doing when they're stopping off here?
It's actually the type of environment, flooded cornfields.
Okay, which
flooded
we have
area.
plenty of right now.
We have plenty of those, and around the power plants where they have the cooling areas, you see a lot of cranes and migratory bird activity. Of course, avian influenza is a big impact on these animals, and our monitoring of them, the cranes are really susceptible to that virus.
Oh, okay. Well, that's unfortunate. Now, I know when I was looking at the rundown for this show, it wasn't a surprise to me that the zoo was involved. But I guess the question would be is why is it important for zoos to focus on Earth Day?
Yeah, so really, when we look at our mission, we're educating people every day, not only about animals, but about the environment that those animals live in and how we as people, even in Evansville, Indiana, are connected to those environments that connect to the animals. So really building those connections with even Humboldt penguins is an opportunity for us to tell people about water quality, pollution, plastics, all those things that we have impact on our own lives that actually have impact on these birds in South America.
So I guess it makes sense then that when you go see the animals, that you're able to look at, well, this is what their environment would be like and what we need to do to help promote that or keep it safe, I guess.
Absolutely, whether that's resources that you buy, whether it's the grocery store or how you recycle or just items you buy in your daily life, or it's water conservation, native plants, planting plants that attract monarch butterflies. So we talk a lot about native plants, whether it's songbirds or monarch butterflies. But water quality, when you talk about the water quality, we see it right now with the flooding, it brings around and you see all the pollution that is in every ditch and
it's
trash.
awful, isn't it?
Well, that ends up in the rivers and the Mississippi and the Gulf of Mexico and then the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. So it is all connected.
It's like, I think it's unfortunate, when they talk about straws, and the push to have paper straws. But I look at really, the problem isn't the straws. It's people throwing the straws in the water when they should be throwing it in the trash,
Right. And really the trash system, has spillover. And so whether you use that, it may not make its way to the trash.
That's true.
And even if it gets in the trash, it may not make its way to the landfill. And if, there's lots of sources in that life cycle of that piece of plastic that you just use for 20 minutes that it has opportunity to just get away from us.
Well, you said that Earth Day is celebrated with zoos across the country. So who controls that or who is in charge of promoting that?
Sure. So we're a part of a larger organization called the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And that's our national body that not only inspects us and accredits us, but also coordinates not only animals, but also events. And there's World Migratory Bird Day, there's World Oceans Day, and then Earth Day. So those are ones that we all talk about. We have the same talking points. We have the same marketing materials. Everybody has it on a little different dates, just depending on their schedules of their zoos in their own hometown. But it really is a focus on how the planet really isn't that nebulous big idea somewhere else. It's really connected to what we do right here.
Right, and we just take it for granted.
Yeah.
So what kind of things will you be doing, though, as a celebration? Or what can people expect when they come to the zoo regarding Earth Day?
Yeah, so first of all, it's a great day at the zoo.
Right.
And there's lots to see. We have extra keeper chats going on. But we have a lot of vendors, whether it's honeybees, and the way honeybees integrate into our food system. So we'll have a vendor there talking about honeybees and the importance of bees. Like I mentioned before, another easy one that you can do right in your own home is plant milkweed. And even has the word weed in its name. It's not a bad thing. You plant milkweed and you're going to attract butterflies. And then the caterpillars eat the milkweed. The pupae actually will attach to the milkweed, and then you'll have adult butterflies in your yard. So it's a really easy thing. They come back every year, and they help the environment. So all sorts of things like that, whether it's recycling or all those items that you really can take home and take little pieces and put it back in your daily life.
And hopefully it's instilled with the children, something that they'll continue to do even after Earth Day.
Absolutely. When you learn those things early, they become habits, become just normal things that you do.
Right. So what do you, let's say somebody does come to the zoo around Earth Day and then they're like, okay, well, what else can they do afterwards? What should they keep doing?
Become a member of the zoo. That's one thing, because we push these ideas and these hints and tips year round. We do in July, we do Plastic Free July. So we have it's a competitive game that's online on your phone, but it shows you how you can really decrease the amount of plastics in your life, those single-use plastics, whether it's shampoo or soap or dishwashing and all those things, and you get points for achieving those. So it's a little bit of a game, but we do that every July, and we compete against other groups all across the country.
Really?
Yeah.
So how do they find that? Just on the website? Or?
You go to our website, or if you become a member, it's in our newsletter.
Okay. Yeah. So what is the best way, I don't know if it's your website or social media, for people to stay current on what is happening at the zoo?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great. So we're active on all of our social media, whether it's Instagram, of course, Facebook, even TikTok. It's a great way to see a lot of behind the scenes activities at the zoo. And we're showing all the current, things that happen, whether it's a new baby or a new exhibit or a new animals to our zoo.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you so much. It sounds like it's going to be very informative for people and educational.
And a fun day.
And a fun day.
Yeah.
Next, to discuss an upcoming Earth Day event and some of the educational work the organization does, we have Amy Rhodes, Executive Director of Wesselman Woods. Amy, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me about what Wesselman Woods has planned for Earth Day.
So April 19th, we will have several organizations coming out. We'll have guided hikes, animal encounters. Of course, you can walk the woods, go to the nature playscape, and have fun learning about the earth, celebrating the earth.
So what kind of organizations will you have there?
We have 25 to 30 that are coming. I don't know that I can name them all.
You do not have to name all of them.
But a few of them would be the public library will be there. There's a story time at some point, a couple of times throughout the day. We also have food trucks coming. Other organizations, Purdue Extension will be there, Evansville Climate Collaborative, and many, many others. All of them are listed on our website that you can find out.
So is this a hands-on kind of thing?
Sure.
What will be happening?
Yeah, so each of the tables will have information about what they do and opportunities for people to learn about how to care for the earth, but then also, I'm sure there's activities for the kids to be engaged as well.
Why is Earth Day an important event for Wesselman Woods?
Well, our organization is to protect and conserve Wesselman Woods and Howell Wetlands, which is on the west side of Evansville. So educating people about the importance of forest, especially in an urban area, and the services the forest provides. It provides cooling and cleaner air. The wetlands help capture our stormwater, and so it's important for the community to come and learn about the importance of that, but also learn about other organizations that are here in our community that also care about the earth and work to help and conserve and protect as we do.
So in Earth Day, I'm gathering, is really just it's kind of shines a spotlight on the things people really should be thinking about all the time. But it's like a nice celebration that helps with organizations like yours.
Yes.
What can visitors learn about the environment when they visit Wesselman Woods?
When they come to Wesselman Woods, they get to learn about the country's largest urban old-growth forest. We have trees that are 200, 300, even 400 years old.
My gosh.
Yes, and they can learn about the animals that we have there. We have reptiles, and we have birds of prey that they can visit during Earth Day. I'm sure Elaine, our wildlife curator, will have the owls and birds out and about for them to experience.
And turtles. I know you have a lot of.
Yes.
I've been there before when the turtles were out running around, and that's just. So, do you have different information for kids and adults? I mean, how do you blend that, or how is that presented?
Sure. Well, one topic, for example, is caring for our pollinators, and so there will be activities at Earth Day where kids can learn about pollinators, but then also organizations like Native Plant Society will be there, and adults can learn about how to incorporate native plants into their gardens and the importance of having diversity and attracting pollinators, especially providing habitat in our urban areas.
So how does the Wesselman Woods, with the different plants, trees, everything that's going on there, affect the local environment?
Well, by having the forest there, especially with the impacts of with climate change and the hotter temperatures, having the forest provides cooling for our city. It helps clean the air, and
So it's important.
yeah.
Yeah, people just, but it's been around for so long, I think probably a lot of people take it for granted.
Yes, absolutely.
So how can people learn more about Wesselman Woods and the activities and Earth Day?
By visiting our website. It's available on our website and social media on Facebook and also Instagram. They can learn there.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much
Yes.
for being with us and had a
Thank
lot
you.
of good stuff to share.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks to all of our guests for joining us to talk about Earth Day and our local environment. I'm April Nading. Thanks for watching WNIN Newsmakers.